Hey guys, today we got Strictly Business in the house, Louie and Johnny. We came all the way down from Long Island. I really appreciate it. Johnny's from South Jersey, so it was easy to get him up here. Thanks for coming in, guys. Appreciate it.
Good to be here.
Good to be here, buddy.
I just real quick, everybody at home, if you could, shoot a prayer over to our boy Nate Hunt from Predator as he's taking on cancer head on, and see if we can't get him in some good spirits. Not that he's not already in good spirits, but he's a warrior, and looking forward to see you on a race course this year, brother. Good luck.
He's a tough kid. He'll be fine.
He's tough as nails, man.
He's got this.
Yep.
He's the only guy I know that takes his race boat apart every single time he runs it.
Is that with tools or smashing it? Or?
I'm not sure, but everybody talks about it like they do, but he really does. He takes it apart. I was laughing. He was out testing, and about an hour later, there was a video on Facebook of him pulling those motors out, putting new ones back in. He's ready to go, man. He's chomping at the bit. But what do you guys got going on, man? What's up?
Well, the boat's all ready to rock.
Yeah.
It's all tested. But she's waiting. She's ready to pounce.
Yeah.
You know the guys we come for.
Yeah. We're trying real hard to get something together for this season. And at the moment, Point Pleasant's up in the air because New Jersey goes one way or the other so frequently. But right now we have Morehead City that is 1,000% ready to go. I'm
looking forward to that. I've never been there, and I've heard so many good things about it, and we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show.
It's a great site. It's a great site.
Yeah, and you guys know. I don't know. You would definitely know Jeff McCann. Yeah. You know Jeff, right, from Scream Machine. He's a maniac, and we talked to him last week because we were curious. What's going on, or is this one good? He's like, dude, we're good. We got the money. We got the approval. I even got an air show. So it's going to be a good one. That's going to be one for the books. He's this week sometime we'll have a itinerary out with the hotels and all. They're all ready to go, and thank God, man, because it was really looking dim.
It's tough.
It is, and it's tough for everybody. It's not just us.
I see your new play toy out there, and I know you want to be in it.
Oh man, it's killing me.
I love it. The boat's magnificent.
That's some beautiful boat.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's been over a year now that I've been trying to get that thing in the water, and we were good for this year. And once the COVID came, like anything else, it got pushed back. And anybody who's in the marina business right now is loving this because everybody's sitting at home and using their boats.
Yeah,
I mean, we've just been so busy. But the benefit of that is most of these race sites that we've been talking to who either had to postpone, cancel, or are still on the schedule all have the same story. The local marine communities are thriving right now. Mm-hmm. So though this year kind of got pushed back and shit canned, we still have a really positive outlook on what 2021 will bring.
Going forward, it'll be good because everybody wants to go. Everybody wants to light the fuse and let it go. And it's just like, when do we do that?
It's tough. And it's tough walking around your race boat. It really is, because it's all you want to do. It's all winter. We sit here in the snow.
I asked Louie if I could just come up and sit in the boat for a while.
Pretend. I'd come up for that.
It wasn't bad. We had some fans. We had people spraying us on it.
It's tough.
It is, and it's hard because we wait. It gets cold up here in the Northeast, and we sit and we twiddle our thumbs, and we can't wait for race season. And now it's tough, man. It's blue balls. Everybody just wants to go. But I wanted to ask you, man. You both of you have some pretty crazy builds that went on here in the last couple months. But you in particular, you now are the proud owner of 3 fountain power boats.
Yeah. I'm looking for the Reggie Fountain. What do you call it? Hall of Champions Award.
The seal of approval.
Yeah, I love the fountains, I gotta say. Okay.
Well, you had the 35, right? Which was that's the older one, the Lightning.
That's in a hurry.
Right. And then you got the 42 with the Pro Charge motors in it.
Yep.
I think you ought to put some numbers on that one.
Oh yeah.
I'll try to catch you.
I named that boat for a cousin of mine now. Years ago, we went to a bar and. He said that this is the greatest place to get, what was that drink we had before? The orange juice drink.
Orange Crush.
Orange Crush. It's the greatest place in the world. He goes, because the orange juice is freshly squeezed. So in memory of him, The boat's orange, and I named the boat Freshly Squeezed.
Freshly Squeezed. Well, you will have to bring Freshly Squeezed to the home of the best orange crush, Phil Houck, Bull on the Beach. Thank you, sir. And
nobody makes them like Phil.
No, man, nobody makes them like Phil. And Pop, man, you've been boating around some of the coolest boats in the country lately.
Yeah.
What the hell, man? How do I get a job with you?
I don't know. There's still nothing like racing. I look at your boat out there, and I want to beat you so bad. I want to take that Will Smith boat and teach it a lesson. So there's nothing like racing, but I've been doing a lot of playing with boats. The Apaches, the Donzies.
I seen a very pretty restored 22 Donzi sitting in your driveway.
It turned out magnificent. Yeah,
man, it's beautiful.
Turned out really good.
Beautiful. And then its bigger brother, the Island Runner.
Yeah.
Man, can Herbie rig a boat?
It's beautiful.
Holy smokes.
Absolutely magnificent. It's art. It's art. When you look at the motor boxes, and it's just he completely redid everything, all the hoses and everything in it. It just turned out like that. You don't even want to put it in the water. I swear it looks so good on the lip, you don't even want to set it down.
Opening the engine hatch must be like walking into a jewelry store.
It's crazy. And when they start whistling when you're driving, it's like, holy, wow, it's impressive.
Well, speaking of Nate Hunt, you know, that boat and Predator know each other pretty well, and Frank's no stranger to a race course, so might be able to make something happen.
I talked to Herbie about that, actually, and he was impressed. To run that boat in an 85-mile-an-hour class, the boat accelerates like a rocket ship. Yeah. It really does. And to get it up to 110 or so, you got to play with it a little bit, but to 85, there's nothing. I don't know of anything that gets to 85 as fast as that boat. Right. It just builds so much torque.
And what will it pull all the way up top?
Herb and I were going 114, and that's when he backed off, but it was still pulling. I mean, it was still building boost, but it's a little. You look for your helmet, you wonder where your jacket is, and you're all the way up there looking down. You're looking down at the water.
20 feet high.
Yeah, you're as tall as you can be. I've never been that tall before.
The Apaches are something special, man. They really are. And I laugh because I think I've seen every single offshore video there is, and there's just nothing like those old Apache videos. No. One was actually I always talk about, you always see them running singularly, right? Like you'll see just one running by itself, which is impressive. But then you see like that video of Kerbeck out in front in Atlantic City, I believe, 12 wide, all Apaches. I mean, and they run unbelievable. I mean, there's just nothing like them.
We had races against Predator. Predator's a little bit lighter than Frankie's boat, so it likes to leave the water. Frankie's pretty much stays in the water. But running Predator, that thing was launching, and it was incredible. Right. And now they're both back, so.
It's so cool. Yeah. And was there a huge difference in layup back then? I mean, were the Apaches pretty much cookie cuttered?
No, Nate's was actually a race boat that was built to be a race boat, and Frankie's was a six-pack from the beginning. Okay. And Nate, I think they made Nate's a six-pack now, but I think it was. But his is laid up. When his is in the water, it just sits there with that bow sticking all the way up. Right. It's just so light in the water. When it's coming to the dock, you can grab it, and you feel like it's not even there. It's like,
right. You know, which is hard to imagine because when you see them, they look like battleships.
They look like battleships. But you can crawl up in the front of Frankie's Island Runner, and you can look right through the glass. I mean, it's just it's carbon fiber and all, but it's just beautiful. When you look inside, when you walk up through the hull, there's no tiers, so you're actually looking at the outside of the boat from inside. It's magnificent. Right. I mean, the way they were laid up, that's why they're all still around. And all these years later, 35 years later, they're still. I mean, Frankie's doesn't have a stress crack in it. It's never been apart. Right. And it's been raced. We run it every weekend. It's pretty neat.
They're amazing. Yeah. They and when people say they don't make them like they used to,
they really don't.
They don't make them like they used to, man. No. That's. No. You can't buy anything today that's anything like that, you know? Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, there's a lot of boats that come close, and you're no stranger to one that, in my opinion, the king of V-bottoms is Instigator. Yep. You know, and sure, with the the step bottom hull, it's a totally different animal.
That was made old school. That's regular resins and all. That's old school. That's a solid boat.
It's a real boat.
It's a real boat.
Like I walk around it now with Anthony running it with Ed. And I'll just kind of tap on it. The same stuff you do on any boat, right? Yeah. That boat is like hitting wood. I mean, it's a tree, you know? And so you can really understand when you see those Key West videos, like with you and Anthony chasing Twisted Metal in Key West that year, where you're just wondering, how are they surviving this? How are these boats taking this beating? Because they're built right. I mean, they really are.
Built right. They're old school. I mean, there's nothing high-tech. Either Billy's is carbon fiber, but there's nothing high-tech about the way it was built. It's a good, solid boat.
Right.
Peter's is the same, and his is, by Lester.
Right.
And it's pretty neat. It's just, I think they were built to be race boats and to last for a while. They're not, they weren't throwaways.
We talk about it a lot on my show that there's a difference between buying a pleasure boat and making it a race boat, and there's a huge difference from that to a race boat that was built with the intentions of racing it. I mean, everything, the attention to detail for something that's going to be used competitively is much different than something that you're trying to make viable for the public.
Yep.
And
the fact is, if you look at Peter's boat, you'll never see a video or a picture of it standing up. It never stood up.
No.
All the years I raced it, 100 races, it never one time stood up. It's just balanced perfect.
You're 100% right.
You never saw a video or a picture where the boat's straight up in the air.
No, you're 100% right. I don't think I have. Yeah. I've seen it submarining through waves.
It'll launch level, but it'll submarine through waves, but you'll never see it stand up. It's one of those boats, and Peter got the balance right. He worked on it.
Right. And it's funny because, and Louis, you could attest to this from running a 35, which I think your 35 runs the rough just as good as our 38 does. And it's just something about a fountain where they were built to attack. They weren't built to, they run good on the lake. They were built to attack in any sea condition, anywhere, anytime. In all the years you've been running your boat, all the years I've been around the purple one, there's not much damage if you take into consideration what you do with them.
Oh, yeah.
What your dad did to that boat last year in Englewood, I never in my life saw anything like it.
You would think he hated that boat.
I never saw anything like it in my entire life.
You should have been in it.
I mean, what he did, I told him he should be ashamed of himself to take and beat it like that. It was terrible.
What it was, we went out and truthfully, the truth of that story, because I've heard nothing. I've heard everything you could possibly think of about that Sunday race.
He told me he's going to take it easy.
We did. We were going easy, and then all of a sudden that little Phantom went by us. So we can't lose to the Phantom. So we picked it up and started running. And just once you're up on top, you can't let it go. There's no pulling it back. And truthfully, I think that's just the problem you run into when you let a driver throttle. Is they just want to go.
Some of those waves he busted through, and I just couldn't believe the boat went through them. I was shocked.
It sounded like I was trapped inside a snare drum for an hour at a Kiss concert. But it's a blast. I think it makes it so much more fun when you don't have to worry about the equipment as much. With the 525s, it's not like you're sitting on a set of stroke motors or big blowers or where you're worried about stuff coming apart. That's how you get to that scenario of Sunday in Englewood. Is we're not. What are you going to break, a drive?
Right.
No big deal. Let's run it.
I always enjoy racing against your boat because they say, he's not going to break either. Sometimes, if I'm running against Nate, I'm not going to run hard in the Apache. Something's going to break. If you leave it hung out there for a while, it's going to break. These 525s, they don't break, and the fountains don't break.
Right.
You got to run it every time.
Well, and I laugh. I mean, you were in the boat, I believe, probably 5-6 years ago. You guys had a big Apache run down in Atlantic City.
Yes. Yep.
And so Pop grabs me. Ant wasn't around, so he's like, come on. I don't remember. I was probably 14, 15. And he said, it was a long time ago now. Now I'm thinking about it. This was probably 10 years ago. So we jumped in the fountain. It was at the house down in, just north of Atlantic City where we live.
Right.
And we went out in the ocean, headed south, and he didn't tell me what was going on. He really didn't. He woke me up, said, let's go for a ride in the fountain. I'm thinking, Pop's being pretty cool right now. He's going to let me go play with the race boat, So we get all belted in and everything. I'm like, we really need this to, go ride around? And he's like, yeah, you get banged around, Okay, so we pass Atlantic City, and he stops. He goes, all right, look, this is what's going on. And it got real serious. And he's like, there's probably 15 or 20 Apaches in there that are all going to come out here and show Atlantic City how fast they are. We're going to wait until they get halfway down the beach, and we're going to smolder them. Like, with this? So we started running, and we ran up on you and Herbie and Frank. And that was where I really got my eyes opened to what a fountain is. I mean, I was so used to, as a kid, seeing them put up the big speed number. They were always the big speed number boat, or the big, and you'd see them in the rough, but you never, as a spectator, it's hard to really grasp how good they really are. We started running there with Island Runner on a pair of 525s, so basically the starter motors of Island Runner, and we're running right with you, and it's just amazing.
We were over 100 mile an hour, and I know you were just the first time driving the boat. I said, you going to be all right? And he was fine. I mean, the boat handled the water, and
you know what it is?
Everything was fine.
The fountains, what I figured out is the more and I don't know if they're all this way, but ours is, and from driving yours in Fort Myers with you, it kind of seems like yours is too, where you just hold them straight.
Yeah.
If you try to drive it, it gets upset. It wants to run itself.
Yeah.
It really does. You kind of just have to let it do its thing. And I know, a lot of boats are like that, but I mean, as you said, over 100 miles an hour. We were in the ocean off Atlantic City in 4-footers.
Yeah.
All I did was make sure the wheel didn't move.
Yeah.
Just hold it straight and it'll run. It's unbelievable.
They're very, very forgiving boats, and you can drive them. Little twitch, big stuff. They just turn too fast.
Yeah.
Right.
And you just get in
Peter's
trouble.
boat with horsepower, you got to drive it because you're up around 120, 125.
Right.
So you got to drive the boat. Once you pass that 110, once you get up there, you got to drive the boat.
Well, I've been begging Pop. I've been begging Evil Ed Smith with Instigator. I've been begging him for a year now. I need to get in that thing.
Yeah.
I watch it run, and to me, it's the most impressive boat on the water.
Yeah.
Because if you take into account what it's doing with what it's got, it's unbelievable.
It's incredible. With that little bit of power to be able to run like that it's insane.
Yeah. Like
the two motors are the same horsepower as one of the motors in the Apache, the
Right.
Island Runner.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It'll achieve what it'll achieve with that, 750, 800 horse. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really is. And you, when you had, which now is Britt's boat, the LSB boat, it was all silver and it was Syntron, for those who don't know. You had 1300s in that at one point in time.
I had big steam in it. Yeah.
So now, what was it like from having run Instigator now, right, with relatively small power in comparison, versus the non-cut down version with bigger steam?
There's no boat like Peter's, but Brett he took a lot of weight out of the boat, a lot.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that when I had it.
Right.
And now it seems like he's got it, because I saw him running with Instigator. I mean, he's dialing it in. He really is.
Oh.
I don't know how much weight he took out of it, but I had 1,350 horsepower in it. And, it needed it to go fast.
Right.
But now he's running with Anthony, and it's fast on its own. It really is.
Well, and I know because I'm here every day with Anthony. He's not pulling any punches. I mean, that's all it's got.
Yeah.
And Britt is hanging on his mirror everywhere.
And the boat's top heavy. That boat's got the different sides on it, where it's higher, it's taller.
A high freeboard,
Yeah, it's got freeboard to it. The bottom's the same, but you got to drive that thing. I mean, Peter's boat's low and it's level and it's balanced.
Right.
That's like the perfect combination. But Brett's got the high freeboards on the side, so you got to drive it.
At some point, you got to give it to Britt. I mean, you watch him.
Incredible.
I talk about him all the time. Like I watch him because I'm going into his class, what I call his class.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to move into any class, I would go into Super V Light, and 90% of that decision is I like to chase people.
Yep.
I enjoy that. I enjoy being the underdog. I enjoy learning, And to me, there's nobody who's got one of those extremes figured out better than Britt. Mm-hmm. And he took what he learned in the little boat and the driving you have to do in a little boat and just applied it to that 42.
Yeah.
And you can see it because it is top heavy. It does have a lot of freeboard and it walks. And if you watch the boat run, you don't see much of that. I mean, he keeps it pretty under control, man.
I could never control it, but even with the big steam in it, I couldn't control it the way he does.
Right.
I couldn't go through the turns he goes through with it.
Right. I mean, he goes in wide open. I mean, there's videos. There's videos from Inglewood Saturday where him and Anthony are coming into, I believe, 3 and 4 to come back up the beach. And they're wide open, and you can hear it in the video that they're wide open, and they go all the way through that turn. The only tone pitch that you hear change is the motors bearing down.
Right.
They're not lifting, and which you can do in Instigator. But to see Britt do that with that boat, and when you see pictures of them running next to each other, it's when it really hits you that the boat that Britt's in 6 feet taller than Instigator.
When they're side by side, they look like they're different class boats.
Yeah.
But they're actually the same bottom, same hull.
Yeah.
It's just the depth of it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what he's done with that.
Yeah.
But we got some cool stuff coming up. We hit on Moorhead, but I have some good news for fans and racers that are waiting to hear something out of Inglewood. From what I understand, we're 100% on funding. We're 100% on approval. There's just some, close-chested game playing going on right now because nobody knows. Listen, we've gotten a lot of questions over the last couple of weeks, and the organization, us, the promotion, the race sites, nobody has any idea what's going on. I mean, we know as much as everybody else does. And Inglewood, I feel horrible for because that's a community that really rallies around that race.
Fantastic.
No question about it.
And so it would kill me to see that not happen this year. And I think that the general understanding is everybody else doesn't want to see it go away either. I mean, the promoters are swinging, the racers want it, the city wants it, and I think in my heart of hearts, we're at about a 97% chance that Inglewood's going to go.
Awesome.
So thank God we got a couple of good yeehaws at the end of the year. Point Pleasant's still hanging in there. We got a great mayor. We got a great team behind Point Pleasant. So hopefully that goes because I have not lived a year on this earth without a Point Pleasant race. So
Inglewood, a lot of races people go there because it's a party and they like Inglewood, they like the boat race. They like it. They don't just go there for the party, they go there because they like to watch a boat race. I mean, how long were we out on the beach? People sat out in the sun all day.
Yeah.
Until the sun was going down. Nobody left.
Yeah. Last year was the biggest year. We had 74 boats there.
And it was crazy. I mean, it was the fans stayed on the beach. I mean, as far down as you could see. And when you're racing, you see all those people lying on the beach.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
But what amazed me is it took us about 6.5 hours to get 74 boats on and off that course. Mm-hmm. And nobody left. Nobody. I mean, I was watching DF Young run down the beach, and I'm thinking to myself, you can hardly see it. It's getting dark. Because they were out. I think they ran 27 laps. They just were out having fun. And I'm watching them running, and you can't see them. The sun's going down, and all of a sudden it dawns on me, everybody's still here. I mean, we were having the awards with fans. I mean, it's unbelievable.
That's boat racing because it's not just people there to party. They were real boat race fans that stayed. Like me, I'm a fan. I don't care whether I'm racing or not. I love to watch a boat race.
Yeah.
I'm sick like that. But when I looked around, it's a lot. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people out here.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat.
And you find that in some places we go, like Lake of the Ozarks. Mm-hmm. That's another one that will always impress me. And you guys haven't made that run. You can grasp that when you get there, it's nothing like what you thought it was going to be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's better. And better in any way than you could have projected.
Fantastic.
When I got there the first year, they did a car show in conjunction with the boat race. And I pulled in, and every boat had a car parked with it. That's how they sold it together, right? And when we pulled in, I started walking around talking to this car club, and they're like, well, they told us we could only bring 40 cars. I'm like, well, how many cars do you have? I mean, I'm from out here. Car clubs don't get 80, 90 cars in them. They're like, well, like 3,000. Like 3,000. There's that many of these? And it was just original Camaros and Chevelles and Judges and the coolest stuff. And they had more steam under the hood of their cars than we did in our boats. I mean, I was blown away by what you could find through all those cornfields and over all those hills. And it's insane.
That's definitely a fun site. And everybody there is friendly. The motorcycle shops, we had a problem with a motorcycle. We brought it there. They helped us right up. They actually came to the race. That's a great site.
I think the huge thing that is helping us right now is the 2019 momentum. Even though 2020 kind of fizzled out, for 2021, I think you'll see that 2019 momentum come back, but with a vengeance. I mean, so sites like that, like Lake of the Ozarks, and everybody's sitting home right now, and for the most part, I mean, I hate to be insensitive because I know it's not everybody, but a lot of people are doing pretty damn good right now. Everybody's, you can't do anything. You can't go out to eat. You can't go out to drink. You can't go play. You can't do anything, right? So most people are making more money now than they ever have because
they're not spending it.
They're not spending it. And so I would love to see a 2021 where all these amazing race sites with all these amazing people, we can just come back but bigger. Yeah. And I think it'll happen. I think it will. I mean, we got some cool shit going on right now.
Just the thing with the people. We haven't really lost any momentum there. I'm on Facebook all the time, like a mental case, posting boat stuff and everything. And then the people around the country haven't lost a beat. I'm hearing from people from Michigan, people from Missouri, people from Florida, everywhere. Jersey, every place, and everybody's talking about it. And everybody's got a positive outlook, which we need.
Yeah,
we really do, and I believe we do. When we come out of this, it's been happening with any type of business, whether it's a beauty parlor or a restaurant. They open up and they get swamped.
Right.
There's just such a need for people to be there, and I think we're going to have that with the boat racing. I think that people are going to be so, not just counting the boat races, the fans and everything are going to want it to see it so bad that it's going to explode.
Well, and that's what we're hoping for. That's the other flip side of what I get online is why go through the effort of running 2 races? Why not just kill it, right? Which I understand. I mean, a lot of sports did that. I mean, a lot of racing organizations in particular did that. But I don't see the benefit to it. I think that, like, for instance, sure, I mean, does it suck to lose 11 out of 13 races? It's horrible, But those 3 that are still standing strong.
Oh, I can't wait to whoop your ass.
Dude.
I'll tell you, I can't wait, dude.
We're still
I
practicing.
told Lou, I don't even know if I'm going to talk to him. We got to start early, Lou. No, it's the truth. That's the truth.
Everybody feels that way, right? I mean, and the fans feel that way. We feel that way. And I think that the fans are in for some of the best racing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I just read an article on Speed on the Water where the guys from NCON, I believe it was Tyson, was like, dude, I will show up anywhere, any place, anytime and run my Super Cat. Anywhere. Just tell me, give me one race, I'll be there. And I think that it's going to be infectious. I think you're going to see some of the hardest racing. I mean, everybody's going to be pushing, And how cool is that at this time where you're not allowed to do anything? I mean,
Nothing.
You can't.
Nothing.
Nobody can do shit. So if we could pull off a boat race where you could show up somewhere like Inglewood and we say, have at it, boys. One and done.
Let's do this.
One and done, right? And then we're putting them back on the trailers.
Oh, man, that would be...
It's going to be mayhem.
Yeah.
Mayhem. Yeah. I'm going to lap you like 3 times.
I've been in the boat with him now. It's crazy.
No, it's going to be good.
It's going to be
awesome. I get a shot at you with that little boat, too, because Howard wants to go.
Dude. And he, to me, I will always respect the shit out of Howard because he took a boat that was truthfully not built for that class, and he is right in there now.
He's tweaking. He doesn't stop.
He's right there. Like we have Point Pleasant for the end of September right now. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, prevailing wisdom would be it's going to be rough. It's the end of September. It's Point Pleasant. Right. That's Howard's water, man. Yeah. That's Howard's water. He's got to be jumping up and down right now.
And he's learning the boat. You get it. It takes a year to learn. And he's learning it. He's taking. He calls me up. I took a pound off here. I got a pound from there. A pound.
That's good.
It's good.
It's good. And you know what's cool is in a guy like Howard, where it does. It's going to take me. I've been racing for this will be 11 years, and every year I learn more and more and more. And then when you jump from one boat to another, it's like everything you thought you learned gets thrown out the window. You got to learn it all over again. So he's through that now. I think he's got a good handle on the boat, but he seems to have his head more in it now. So I think that's where you'll really see him come alive because he's now understanding the boat, understanding what it needs, and so where you and him can start to kind of gel in the boat together, and you guys are going to be a force, man, because that thing, I'm telling you, you get a race course, like if he was still running Patchogue again, that 3-4 foot chop, that's a monster for that class.
The boat's perfect for rough water. It's excellent. And I wasn't used to a single engine boat and going into the turns and all. And I'm starting to get it now. I had Donzie, I've been playing with that. And I got this.
Yeah.
No, once you learn that the power's not there, you got to take it into the turn hot.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun.
And that's it, too. I mean, and that's the name of the game when you get to spec class racing. It's not about how fast the boat is. It's how fast you can put it in the turn.
How fast you can get through the turn.
Yeah. And that boat, for those of you that don't know, Howard Richardson owns, what is the name on that boat? Bad Boy?
Bad Boy, yeah.
Okay, so it is a 32-foot Bad Boy built by Tony Pacheco in I believe, Lower Bank, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And it's just a fantastic hull. I mean, he built a 38, he built a 32 Cat.
Right.
He built that, built an open version of that 32, and all of them were fantastic.
Yep.
And so I'd just be happy to see.
No, it's your Viper actually. It has your Viper bottom to it.
Yeah.
And it's just a great rough water boat, just like your Viper is.
Yeah.
And he had about 500 pounds. We were 500 heavy last year, and he's been chipping away at it. Every time he loses a pound, he calls me.
Right.
He's getting there. Yeah.
That's good. He needs that, you know, and the class needs that. Because, you know, I think from Louis could really speak to this because you were in the class with Randy,
Yes.
right? Going back to, that was like 13, 14?
Even a little closer, I think. I think 17.
Yeah?
It was the last year, yeah.
Huh. So where'd you start then? Like 2014-ish? It was a couple years.
I went with Randy for 4 years.
Right. So, yeah, 2013 then. So you can speak to this. Going back, I think that the R&D wasn't as heavy into that class during those years, right? I mean, if you watched the Super V Light race then, it was a pack. Right? And then something kind of shifted there, like 17, 18, 19, right? Where you have guys like Steve Papp, you have guys like Lily and guys like Kyle, and there I go naming names again. I should never do that, but where these guys don't sleep. They, like Steve Papp, I think that guy lives in his shop. He takes his boat apart, he changes everything. Now he's into building carbon fiber hatches, and so whereas before you could have an 88 mile an hour boat and be all right. Now these guys they found every inch. And so it's so difficult. And I think the class really needs the seriousness around it right now. We got like the playing with rule books and playing with them. We can throw all that shit out the window. And these people just got to like get back in their boats, get their head back in their boats, and get these things back together and get on the race course and spend some time in them. Because like you and Howard, how much better are you now versus...
And Howard never complains. I mean, we're in 5th place and we're still racing because there's 12 boats on the course.
Yeah.
And it's so neat. Like, sometimes, you race a couple boats and you're not in front.
Yeah.
You took all the fun out of it. Doesn't matter where you are,
right.
in that class because you got 10, 12 boats showing up. You're racing somebody. It doesn't,
Yeah, that's exactly why I enjoyed Class 7 as much as I did.
Yeah.
I'm like on cloud 9 with Class 7 now, having done it.
Right.
Because initially I'm like, all right, they're little boats, it's 60 miles an hour, how crazy could it be? It's insane. It's crazier than anything we do in our fountains. And you go into turn 1, like Lake Apacong, we had an incident with Shadow Pirate where Tomahawk, the boat I was in, collided with Shadow Pirate. We were 14 boats wide. And when you're not running 100, where you're not worried about giving room, and I mean, you couldn't put a playing card between any of these boats. It's totally out of control.
Yeah.
You get a lap or two into the race where it shuffles out. I don't care if you're 13 out of 14, you're fighting for 12.
You're racing with somebody.
Yeah.
It's so neat. It really is. I enjoyed it as much as I've ever enjoyed racing. I mean, and we're in the back of the pack. Don't let him get by. Don't let him.
Right.
Are you crazy? No, come on.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
After you get to the race, well, actually, we were in 12th place. And still, you had fun, and people like to see that. Nobody wants to see somebody walking away with a race. That's why NASCAR, everybody watches it.
Right.
When you got people racing all the way down the class, it's good.
Well, and it's really true, too, with Super V Light, where the fans enjoy watching that class because it's hectic, because there's people everywhere. And I think that is the one drawback to bracket class racing, where once you get out in front, you're out in front.
You're out in front.
You're on the number and you're gone. You're in clean water, whereas everybody else is fighting for clean water. So that is the one drawback. Whereas with Spec class, I might have a mile an hour or two on you, where I can, if you got me in this turn, I can make it up.
Right.
You don't get that bracket class. But
it's how hard you want to run. I mean, let me trim it up a little bit, give it a shot.
Yeah, and it happens. I mean, there's a famous video of Randy and Typhoon back in the day. I mean, looping that thing around in Biloxi, where I mean, at easily 92, 93 miles an hour in midair, just 180'd it. And it's just got a little loose. I mean, and he was probably in 6th place, going for. And people are like, "What are you doing? Why are you running that hard?" Because I'm not going to lose to anybody out here today. Was my mentality. So I got to beat somebody.
It's pretty neat. It really is neat.
It's awesome, man. I try to explain. So many people want to ask me, what's this, what's that, how's that work, and I just tell them, listen, just come. Just get in the truck with me and just come to one and just go talk to people. You'll be blown away.
It's incredible. That's what the fun is. I mean, I raced for Peter all those years, and I'd say to him, "You got the turn?" I'd say, he said, "I'd say, you sure you got it, Pete? Can you handle this?" Just turn the goddamn boat. He'd scream. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
And he's my best friend, and we yelled at each other for years.
Yep.
Then I get in the boat with Anthony. I said, this will be better. Next thing you know, he turn the damn thing. It's neat. That's what it's all about, man.
It's funny.
I told Anthony, you can't talk to me like that. I got 17 world champions. How I can? He told me. Turn the boat. Man, it's pretty neat. It's
I laugh. You're 100% right. I mean, it doesn't matter who you get in the boat with. You're going to go to war with each other because there's something you could be doing better.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I was in the boat with Louie in Fort Myers. You don't fight with Louie. It's impossible. We had so much fun.
Well, one time, Louie, I'll never forget, I finally snuck ahead of you in what's up, and I'm telling Louie, I don't care what happened, don't let him by, cut him off, do whatever you got. Like, see him over there, I don't know. He let him by. I swear to God, he's such a good guy. He's too good to be my friend. I swear to God, I would have ran right into the side yet. I was so mad at him. I wanted to kill him. I had 3 races I tried to get in front. I got in front one time. I said, this is it. We got him. All right, Louie, don't let him by. Next thing you know, Louie lets him by. He's waving. I said, no, not tonight.
If we had, over the years, there's been so many pop-up, we're going to try a television show, right? If they wanted to make a television show, they should just do us. Because I laugh from start to finish. When the green flag goes up, I laugh until the checkered flag. I love the story that's been the last couple races we've been running with each other, where Pop yells at me, "Watch where you're going. Stop watching Louie and Johnny." And I'm like, if you could see Louie and Johnny right now, you'd understand why I'm not looking where I'm going. We come into the turn, and I'm clear by 15 boat lengths, and somehow that beak winds up in my rearview mirror right here. I laugh, man. It is the coolest thing. It really is, and especially in that type of racing where you have 2 boats that are so competitive with each other. I mean, you guys went through a couple of years there where you were down on a little steam, but now that boat just it trucks, man. And the crazy thing to me is, and this is a testament to you, man. You're the only one I've seen turn a fountain on a tight line the way you do.
It doesn't. That boat doesn't.
It's amazing because I know what now. I know. Like there was a couple years there where I was figuring that boat out. Now I know what you can and can't do with the purple boat, and I watch you guys go under us sometimes, and I'm like, how is he making that stick?
I'm gonna give credit to for that. It was Joe Squell. Strictly Business was originally an instigator boat also. Right. Many years ago, and I'm sorry. And I was talking to Joe, and I told him, I says, "Just try and walk in like crazy," and I was new. And he goes, "It's not going to do anything. You just don't fuck with the wheel." I was fool with the wheel. And I was like, I got used to this, because what was happening was I was overcorrecting and I got it on its side and everything. Right. And then with the turns, I says, I'm not that hard on turns. He goes, "You could put that boat in there wide open." He goes, "It'll slide, it'll drift right around the turn." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, try it." Finally, I had to get Eric tuned up, and I said, "You got to hold it. We got to try." We went into the turn, and it just slid out and came out at almost the same speed we went in. I said, "That's why we got to run this boat," and that's one of the pluses of the boat. Right. It definitely was a good boat. So I'm going to give a shout out to Joe for that. That was
well, and we had a similar story to that. For us, it was David Knight, right. Where our first race was David Knight was I believe he was a general manager at Fountain or something like that, and our boat was originally his, and he raced it twice before we bought it. So we went to St. Clair. Now my father, which you both know, started out in the Viper, where you don't have to think about turning, you just turn. I mean, there's just that boat's amazing. Well, they got in the Fountain and went down to the first turn and tried to turn, and it looped around so many times they were dizzy by the time they were done. So they called David Knight, and David Knight told them, he said, "Look, the Fountain's going to go into the turn and it's going to skip twice. When it skips twice, turn the wheel." And my dad's like, "All right," so he gets Anthony, they go back out, they're going down the St. Clair River. And Dad says, listen, the man said, when it skips twice, turn the wheel. All right, they went in there wide open. It skipped twice. He grabbed a handful of wheel, and around the turn it went. He's like, that's how you drive one of these things. He couldn't figure it out. And it's funny because they all have, like, anybody you talk to that has a fountain has its little quirk that you have to figure out,
right.
you know? It's funny, but aside from, I mean, you're 100% right on the way yours runs around a turn. I mean, in running with you in Fort Myers, it was like they designed that race course for us.
Yeah,
with the 4-pin turn into the dog leg into the 4-pin turn, because you could literally run it wide open. And with his boat, it would get up on the bow and just kind of chuck the ass around, and he would just hold it wide open and right around. I mean, it was beautiful.
Right.
But what I was really talking about is I watch you get that up on its side.
It does it. It does it.
And
it really does it.
You do. I mean, and I got to give it to you, man, because it gets up on its side and turns on its rub rail.
Yeah.
Or the purple boat won't do that. The purple boat, once you get up and over on its side, it just wants to throw you the other way.
Yeah.
Whereas Louis seems to really dig in there. And I got to give it to you because there's a few times throughout the course of this year and last year where you got under me and I'm like, I don't know if I can get him back now. Because it's hard to run around the outside as fast, faster.
If you slow it down and drop the boat to where the water's soft, where it's not, once it's hard, it's sliding and it'll come around on you if you're trying to do it hard. But if you get the water soft, where you can dig in and not go too hard, where Louis, leaves himself a way out. Usually there's no way out when you're alongside of us.
Right.
But as long as Louis's got a way out.
But Louis, see, it to me, because as a driver in the purple boat, I know that a lot of that isn't necessarily me, right? And whereas you can do what you can do on the wheel until your only as much as your throttlement will allow you to do. So that's why I ask you there, because without having horsepower, right? Where usually in a boat where you have horsepower, you can do that. I mean, you can do whatever you want. Bury it in a turn and just muscle it through.
Right.
But with the 525s, when you take a handful of wheel, it immediately loses 15 mile an hour.
Right.
So it's hard to have the confidence in your driver to stick that through that turn, because it's tough. Because the one race that I remember specifically was 2 years ago in St. Clair. You got under me in the south turn. Mm-hmm. And anybody who's raced St. Clair knows how shitty that south turn can get. Yeah. And you went through there. I mean, it was almost perfect.
It was a shot. We took the shot.
Yeah.
We took a shot.
It was almost perfect, man. And I remember thinking to myself that as we're coming through there, I'm about as tight as I possibly could be with the purple boat. And you smoked around those buoys, man. It was unbelievable. It really was. But it's just, I guess that's the shout out there to Reggie. I mean, Reggie he built one hell of a boat.
Yeah, no doubt.
He did.
No doubt. I mean, there's nothing. I tell my friends that Peter's boat will run with a 41 Apache, and nobody believes it because they know what a 41 Apache is. They start this rough water stuff and all that. That boat will run with a 41 Apache.
Easy.
I think.
It'll run. Will it run in 8 foot? No. But will it run in 3 to 4 to 5s? Yeah.
I got to tell you, man. I think just personally, I don't think that there's much that the Apache has over Instigator.
No, and you'd never believe it if you put the two boats side by side.
No, you wouldn't.
The Instigator looks like a toy.
Yeah.
It really does. In the water, it looks like a toy next to it.
Yeah.
But it would run with it.
It's a crazy boat.
That's the best V-hull. That's the best V-hull ever built.
Yeah. He knocked it out of the park with that.
He did, man. And not to get you in hot water here, but you've also been in the outer limits.
Yeah.
And how does that compare? I mean,
I was with Curtis, and I was just afraid of getting wet. When I raced, I was with Steve Curtis in there, and I said, this guy's going to get me in trouble. This guy's going to get me. But no, it's altogether different. It's a different way of racing. The outer limits doesn't like a turn. Like a fountain likes a turn. It likes it. It gets happy.
Right.
The outer limits likes straightaway. I mean, it'll run fast. It'll run smooth. It's a level ride. It's almost running negative trim. When you're running, normally you'd be in one of Fountain's boats, you'd be a couple degrees up in the air, but that outer limit just runs dead flat.
So with the wheel,
it gets across the water in a hurry.
With the wheel in your hand, does it almost feel like it's with all the steps?
I'm not good enough to run an outer limits. I haven't ran one long enough to. A couple times I got in them and I was fine, but I wasn't any good.
Right.
I'm pretty good in the fountain because I know what it's going to do.
Well, it's time in the boat too.
Right.
That's
but all those steps in the fountain, you better pay attention.
Right.
I mean, Joe Scrow knew what he was doing. I mean, he just he would stay with us in the Instigators, and I was like, how can he do it in that boat? I mean, it's just, but
it's when you look at the boat now from an outside opinion, right? I've never been in one, but from the outside looking in, you see all those steps on the bottom. It almost looks like a skater, and it's got to be a hairy boat to drive with all that disturbance in front of the wheels.
It's a handful in turn, but Joe used to do it. I mean, Joe did it for all those years.
Well, and Joe's phenomenal.
He did it for all those years.
And he came.
He's got Curtis running the thing. He don't care. He'll even look over at you.
Right.
How you doing over there? How you doing, mate?
Yeah, dude. And there is just I had to finally had an opportunity over the winter to sit and talk with Curtis for literally 2 days. We were stuck in a hotel together at the beginning of COVID, and that's all we did was bullshit about the boats he's run over the years and stuff. That guy has ice water in his veins. He doesn't feel anything. No fear. No, just he's all about it. And then you put Joe in there, and maybe Joe was as good in that outer limits because for years he dominated in the fountain world. And so maybe coming from an understanding of how to slide one, how to, he could figure that out a little quicker. But I just would love to see more of them on the race course. Because they're like I walk around forehands, the Marker 17
the
Marine.
Marker 17. That thing's balanced, beautiful. I love the way it runs. That boat's a work of art.
I like everything about it. I really do. There's not one thing I would change.
No, that's a great.
And then you see that video of him going into that turn in Englewood, 40 feet in the air. I mean,
that was crazy. It's the best picture ever.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Imagine how Mikolos must feel.
Oh my God!
Steve Mikolos in Sunprint pulled off, was going in there like there's some big shit in here. Forehand said, "Hold my beer."
That's crazy. It really is. That's crazy. It's one of the best shots I've ever seen.
It's amazing.
But I think if you got used to outer limits running like negative, I'm not used to that. I'm used to the fountain with the bow up a little bit. That outer limits, you're looking straight down the deck.
Right.
Going into a turn, looking straight down the deck
It's hairy.
It's hairy.
Well, and it's funny because people would think that going into a turn with the bow high, that must feel weird. But that I feel like you have all the correct contact points.
Yep.
When you go in there with the bow down, at any minute it feels like it just wants to turn its head on you.
Pushing.
Yeah. And it's just, that's the cardinal sin with a fountain. You can't go into a turn and pull.
No,
you can't put the bow down.
No, you can't put the bow down.
So, that must have been weird for you to go from instigator to that.
And with Curtis, because he don't even look at you. Hey, Steve, I'm over here now. He just,
That's it, man. He's crazy. There's a lot of cool stuff. I remember a conversation I had with you in Fort Myers where I said to you, I've never seen the equipment of today. I've seen the pictures of the 80s, the 90s, even the early 2000s, right? And I was there for some of that. So I can attest to some of it. But there was a lot of boats, but there wasn't the quality of boats.
Technology. It's over the top.
It's not just. I mean, the technological improvements of offshore is unbelievable. I mean, think about this. You can take a 1350 out of your boat, put a 1550 in it. If you get bored of that, you can put a 1750 in it. And if you get really bored, Mercury will make it a 2300 horse motor for you. They can do that with a computer now.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty incredible. Yeah. So, I mean, the technology is insane. But if you think about what we were able to achieve last year with Class 1, right, where they ran the 1100s, and you watch them run all year and running like bonsai runs. I mean, I watched 220 or 222 go under Victory in Michigan City at every bit of 140 miles an hour.
Yep.
It's just incredible. And then you go down, right? You step down through the list. Super Cat will never disappoint you.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about that nostalgic scream of the motors, right? I mean, it's just
that to me. I love the big unlimiteds, but when you put that screaming in there, even though they're 9-to-1 compression engines, they're barking, they're going crazy.
Dude, I mean, what are they running? 6,600, 7,000? I forget what the exact the RPM is. You don't hear that anymore.
No,
it's what you have with Instigator and Lily with the side pipes.
Yep,
it's to me that's everything. I grew up.
To me, that's everything. When the big boats go by at 100, and I know they're going fast. I was in them, Alice and Andy, but it's just whistling. It's not. Let me tell you something. When you get that bumping in the back there, oh, that's nice. Anthony in the AMH boat, it's crazy.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
And as a kid, I remember watching Dave Scott and all these guys with the Bacardi boat and the Budweiser and Bud Select, and they always had, I mean, those Stelling headers, and I mean, just as a kid, they would go by and you'd hold your ears, and you know, because it was that loud, you know. And where you'd have a boat race in Sarasota and Fort Myers heard it, you know. It's to me, we're missing a little bit of that, but it's cool to kind of go down through and see that as technology advances, what's still there, right? Like you have Class 1, which is just, it's always going to be the way it is. I mean, you need the Mercury power to be able to guarantee a fair race, right? So you need that, and then you kind of step down from there to, I believe, a Supercat is your next step, and then you have where you go from these computer-controlled 13 or 1100 horse motors to these carbureted big blocks from the 80s, and they're just screaming at 7,000 RPM.
Just monsters.
You go back from that to super stock, where you have the old two-stroke 300 XS, and I think they're going to move from that to the 300R next season or if not next season, the season after, the four-stroke motor. So they're going to make a little improvement there. But as you kind of climb down through, you get to see so many different levels of boat racing, right? And I think that it's cool having the opportunity now to talk to more people who've been involved in more levels of the sport. Like you got a chance to run a super stock with Ryan Beckley, and it's just, to me, like how does that? How do you go from your own team, right, which I've had some experience now with jumping in and out of boats, but how do you go from your own team, your fountain, to running a 30-foot, or is it his 30 or 28?
I'm going to say 30.
30. So how do you go from that to a 30-foot skater with a pair of outboards? I mean,
yeah, we did good. We did.
And you did really good.
Well, Ryan, I give it all to Ryan. Ryan. If you want to know something about Offshore, he's a guy.
He's the guy.
You know, he knows Guy Lombardo's birthday and stuff, you know. But Ryan's a great guy, and what we did was, back then, I was Lake of the Ozarks we raced at, and he had a seat available, and there's a little fountain story to this, too. I called Ryan up, and I said, look, I want to pay for the seat, this and that. So we went there. I met him. They got a house together. My wife didn't want to stay in the house, so we got to get a big hotel room, which was real nice in that Crazy Frog or whatever place is. So we went out and tested, and somebody went to some other props. The boat really went great. And I picked it up pretty fast. You know, I asked him, are we going to go for a boat ride or are we going to race? He goes, well, you're going to have to turn this thing. I said, put me into a turn. And we started doing it. First turn, I yanked the wheel, no power. So he told me how to chop it, and I picked it up pretty quick, and we did good. So the morning of the race, I mean, I've been eyeballing those fountains for a long, long time. I mean, I got the 35. I always watched Instigator. That was my favorite boat. And Brett Schulman and Jesus Christ, Billy Gluck were racing. And Brett had gotten sick. And Billy asked me as we're getting in the boat, he goes, you're a fountain guy. You want to run the fountain with me? And I looked at Isaiah, and I felt like from the beginning I stole Isaiah's seat, you know. So I looked at him and I says, you want to run the fountain? I says, Isaiah's good, you know. And Isaiah went in the boat and ran it, and I went with Beckley, which we were supposed to do. But I passed up a ride, so I got a friend for life with Isaiah. Right. Because he ran the twisted boat.
How was, like I watched Beckley run, right? And I felt horrible for him, but I was there in Englewood the year they flipped it over on the front stretch. But it seems like that boat's getting faster with age. He's getting. See,
Ryan is great in the boat, and the boat's a great boat. It really is. The boat should be. But what happens is with the seat, when you put somebody new in the boat, like when you and I went in the boat together, it didn't matter. You get in the boat with somebody new, and you want to be a little careful. And is it going to turn and kill us, or is this guy going to hold the throttle to the dash? You don't know. So Ryan always had that to overcome. So I was more experienced when I raced with him. We did better. And you'll see as Ryan gets a more experienced person in the boat with him, Ryan will let it eat.
Right.
And that's a good boat. I mean, the other ones are
Doug Wrights
and the Victories.
The Doug Wrights are fast as hell.
Yeah.
But Ryan's boat's no slouch. And Ryan's an excellent guy. I always thought about
it. It seemed like when it was rough out there, his boat loved it.
Yeah.
When it was rough, his boat loved it.
I mean, listen,
His boat was happy.
Inglewood on Sunday is probably the roughest I've seen all year, right?
Yeah.
And Ryan right now is the king of the world.
Yeah.
He's a world champion right now, and there's a reason for it. You know, I mean, it really is a good boat.
I mean, they don't give you that race. He earned it, man.
No.
He really did.
Yeah.
I mean, he earned it.
People don't get that. I don't know why. I've been to races at other organizations, and I don't mean to knock any other organization or anybody who raced in any other organization, but it seems like OPA produces a competitive vibe. Like, it's all good in the parking lot, right? I mean, us. How many people on Facebook truthfully believe we hate each other?
that
Everybody.
Yeah,
right?
that guy's a really asshole. No, he's not. He's my best friend. He says, this is just Facebook. He's really a good guy. Oh, is he? Yeah, he's a pretty good guy.
If you were to give those guys a shot in the first turn, are you crazy?
Yeah. Do you want me to take him out in the first turn? No, he's my best friend. Are you crazy?
Look, and you know, it's the different organizations kind of talk about one another and everything. When I did Key West with Randy, we went all the way down there. I took motors out of the fountain and put them in Randy's boat in Typhoon and everything like that. And when we got there, they spread a rumor that this guy Louis the Rigger from New York is insane. He's going to crash into you. Don't get in front of him. He's a mental case and this and that. So Victor comes back, who's our crew guy, comes back and goes, yeah, they were talking all bad stuff about you. They said you're crazy. They're all afraid of you. Because I told them, no way. He's a good guy. You'd never do that.
He ruined it.
I go, what'd you do that for? You should have left him afraid.
Well, and it's funny because there's a bit of like actual evidence to that, right? Like, I've been there, and it doesn't seem like the racing on the course is really done on the course. It almost seems like it's done in the parking lot, and it's like
It's pretty cool.
And we had these guys that came over in 2019 where they've never raced with us before, so they don't quite have their footing yet, right? And I'd go as far as saying that all of them had a great time and had some of the best racing they've had in their lives, because we're not going to hammer you for an infraction. We're not going to hammer you for that guy cut me off. Listen, that shit happens, okay? Clean the salt off your visor.
Would your dad put his buddy in the boat with him?
Wes.
Wes never been in a boat.
Nope.
Never been in a boat before. He went out there and ran the hell out of it.
Yeah.
So, and he did it so that I could run with Howard.
Right.
And you were there with
Wes has got all the credentials, though.
We'll make it work. But
He's not afraid.
and you just probably in one scenario summed up what OPA is.
It just doesn't happen. It was like,
we just make it work. I mean, it's not about the penalties and the rules and the fines and the bullshit. It's about go out on the course and just give it every fucking thing you got, and we'll be proud of you. It's like, and you're that perfect instance, right?
Yeah.
Wes went out there, who's, just so everybody understands, is my dad's next door neighbor in Florida. He doesn't come with like this long credentialed racing history, right?
it's like going to watch the World Series. They say, oh, come on down, you're in. You know, like,
you're still trying to finish a pretzel.
What do you mean I'm in? You're in the boat.
And then you look at this, right? And Wes gets in. He's wearing my helmet, so he's trying to fit my watermelon helmet on his head, right? It's rolling over his eyes. He's all fucked up. And with that, Shipley and Woody are chopping him into the turns and hosing him down. And I'm laughing. I'm like, he comes up to me after the race. Can you believe they did that? That's what we do out here, buddy. And it's funny because you're right. Like, there's OPA in a nutshell, right? So the whole reason why that happened is so that you could still run with Howard. Right. I jumped in with Louie, and Wes jumped in with. We'll make it work. We'll have some fun.
The camaraderie is huge.
It's huge.
It's everything here.
I need a battery. I can't race my battery. Here's a battery. I need this. Oh, I got an extra prop. Here you go. Use a prop. It's everybody helps everybody race. The camaraderie is number one.
2 years ago in the World Championship, we only won that race because you gave us your drive.
Yeah,
you know, and with that, I popped.
Remind me of that.
And with that,
you have to bring that up.
And on top of that,
pissed at me for that too.
Pop blew it up.
Here's your drive back.
Here's your drive back in pieces.
Thanks, jerk.
It's funny. It's just to me. I've grown up in this, so to me it's not weird. You know, to me this is normal. This is what we do. And then you spend some time elsewhere and doing other things, and you realize how important that really is. Coming home, coming back to OPA, where
that's everything.
It's so awesome. It's such a good time, man. And I laugh. Like, there's that picture of us in the firehouse in St. Clair, acting like we're fighting. To this day, I laugh because people really do. They get the biggest kick. Like, I almost hope that this show doesn't ruin the feeling that, But like when you did the Smitty, we're gonna need a bigger boat.
I saw that at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was crying.
Dude, it's awesome, and it's cool because we can all still have fun and all still be friends.
I love the one where you're holding the checker flag. I say it's a rare picture with Boomer the checker flag.
It's just, to me, it is just so fucking cool that we still have a place where you can go and do this, where you can just, and it's good. And I think for next year there's some new cool additions. I'm not sure if I should or shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna anyway. We got a call that Traverse City, Michigan is taking another swing at that race up there, which if anybody isn't familiar with Traverse City, Michigan, it is everything that St. Clair is and more, and that's going to be, and including Michigan City. I mean, it's just like Michigan City. The new additions from the momentum of 2019 are going to be amazing. We have 3 or 4 other race sites that are beating the door down. I mean, when's the last time we were turning race sites away? And so
it's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
It's catching on, and you see it by the amount of people that were in Englewood. It's crazy, the people that were in Sarasota, it's big.
Yeah, it's coming back. It really is.
It really is.
And you've been, you've seen the whole swing.
I was there when it was, 80, 90 boats. And to see it again is like, it's funny, the fellow's name that ran with Gary Ballou, Lauren Leibel.
Right.
I'm at the driver's meeting, I'm looking, and boy, that guy looks familiar, but I hadn't seen him in 25 years when he raced back in the day. I never figured out who it was. I'm driving home. I said, son of a bitch, that was Lauren Leibel. And it took me this is the next day almost. So I texted him and I said, were you in Gary Ballou's boat? He said, yeah. I said, sorry, I didn't recognize you from 89 or whatever.
I think they rolled it over too, didn't they?
No, he wasn't in the when they rolled it. He was in a race before that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then he's coming back with JT.
With JT.
Yeah. So that
was pretty neat.
How cool is that, right? Like, so for fans of the sport that understand who Johnny Tomlinson is and who Lauren Leibel is, great. But for people who don't, this is living legends. This is, I'm so thankful for the 2019 season because I got to be up close and personal with so many people that I've never had the opportunity with, And Johnny Tomlinson's one that really impressed me with his demeanor. Mm-hmm. Here Johnny is taking a swing at this with a brand new boat. He's in the MTI. It's gonna, you know the drill. It's set up, it's everything, right? And on top of that, you're learning how to run a totally different boat, and coming out of that 388 skater that they were dominant in for so many years. To watch Johnny kind of figure that boat out and never be anything less than a mid-pack boat, you get to see the talent that's really involved. And he's got a hell of a wingman with Myrick Coyle. Because and if you don't think so, watch Myrick's work in the Superstock. They're unbelievable. And so it's so cool to me to see this all kind of swinging because I can remember, as well as both of you were there, for the beginnings of this. There was, the reason why the Jersey Boys were the Jersey Boys was we were the original 13 Jersey Boys, and we were deemed the Jersey Boys because we would go crash all the Florida events, and that was our organization. There was no races, there was no prize money, there was no sponsorships. There was 13 of us up here that were like, we really want to race, but there's nowhere to do it, and we just teamed up, and through years of, Augie, you, Julio, Louie, Ed. There's so many people who just push this thing along to see where it is now. And it's all the same people. Yep. It's all the same people. It hasn't changed. Yep. It's fantastic. But now you've sprinkled the upper echelon on it. You've got the Class 1, the Super Stocks, the Super Cats, and Lily and Instigator. Those two running the way they are is going to drum up some more boats for that class. Who doesn't want a piece of that? Yeah. There's the dude right now, I see him on Facebook all the time breaking Billy Shipley's balls. The guy with the 38 bad boy.
Uh-huh.
Dude, bring it. Bring it. That's what it's called. Bring it, right? Or bring. I can't remember what the name of his team is, but like there's more boats out there, and it's back. It's back, guys. Like, come on, put some numbers on them and come run.
Yeah.
You know.
We got a cigarette coming in next year. We got Nate's going to be there. I guarantee Nate will be there. We got that 39 cigarette. I forget the fellow's name.
Matt Soper. He's actually the one that's putting on the. Or I don't know if he is currently the one putting it on, but he was the one who got the ball rolling with Traverse City.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you got some unbelievable pieces coming back out there. Have you seen Matt Soper's boat?
It's awesome. He sent me some pictures. It's awesome.
I can't believe he's going to race it. I'm like, dude, if there was a boat racing museum, it would be in it, and you're going to go race this thing, you know. And it's cool. And I'll tell you what, that in particular, I haven't said much about it, but that's got me really excited, is to see the cigarettes back out, because. Spoiler alert, but I'm trying to get Billy Martin in here in a couple of weeks, and I've been doing a little bit of digging, you know, because there's a guy that he's been through all of it, right? And he made, in my opinion, for me and like my generation, it was Billy with that cigarette, you know, and it almost seems like it's been forgotten how good those cigarettes really are. I think the dark horse of Class 4 is going to be Soper. Like, everybody's talking about Nate, everybody's talking about Saris, or Simmons, or the guys with the Russ and RJ with the Tsunami and the Imaginette. There's so many of these new teams for Class 4 that they're forgetting that cigarette's coming.
Is that new Phantom coming in?
Yes, Mark Robbins.
Mark Robbins
There's another one, the father-son team from Connecticut. Or New York. Bronx Bandit.
Oh, Bronx Bandit. Yeah, they're bringing a Class 4 boat?
Well, they just built an unbelievable Phantom.
Really?
The one that looks like Simmons' boat.
I'll have to dig into that a little more. I don't know anything about that.
A lot of steam.
I thought nice. Maybe I have seen it, because they were running a Phantom in Class 5. The last couple of years, so I have to check that out. That was one engine, right? Yeah, single engine.
I think they sold it. This is 2 engines.
This is 2 engines.
No shit. That's all. See, and that's the other cool thing with Offshore is how many years was poor Jason and Johnny chasing their tail, and now all of a sudden, saddle up, boys, because there's like 15 of them overnight. You know, it's great, and it's just for you guys, you could really wrap your head around how cool it is right now. You know, I'm trying to convey that message to the masses that it's unbelievable. Like, if you didn't give it a shot before, give it a shot now.
That's the time. This year was definitely the time. So with everything we went through with the world, next year is definitely going to be the time, even more because of what we see now. You realize that life, you can't take life for granted.
No.
You know?
No, you can't. You know, and I think that our guys here with OPA have a good staying power about them. I mean, there's just, over the years, we've went through a lot of hard times. Yeah. I mean, I can remember like 05, 06, we had the Optima batteries, the TV show, AMSOIL. I mean, we were rolling. 07 hit, the country shut down. We went through that mini depression, and it's back. It's back, and it's the same people. I mean, we have the toughest, awesomest group of guys in the world, you know, and girls. I mean, that's the other hilarious thing to me is I can't wait for these guys to start getting their ass kicked by these girls, and because it's going to happen. Randy's daughter's coming into Class 7. And I can't, like, to me, it's just so cool. Like, you had Lindsay DeNoyer in the Killer Bee boat. Right. I mean, over the years, there's been a bunch. I'm trying to think of current actives, and I think that the girls are going to be better at this because they know how to hold a grudge. I laugh, man, because if you held grudges on half the things I did to you on a race course, but there's so much cool shit going on, man.
Yeah, there really is.
What about Strictly? Strictly's ready to go?
Strictly's ready. Every time I go by it, I hear it whine a little bit. Don't worry, soon. But,
we're still patching up battle wounds from Inglewood, but we'll be there. That's no doubt about that. We'll be there for that one.
What did you think was going to happen?
I knew exactly what was going to happen.
What did you think was going to happen?
Listen, we're not claiming ignorance. We knew exactly what was going to happen from the start of that. And you know what I think really started to drive him through the course of that race was he really thought that Anthony was still out there, an instigator. So he thought as good as we were running, maybe we go play with Anthony. And we didn't know that Anthony broke down in the first turn. So he ran his ass off trying to find Ant. But yeah, that poor boat, man. It's a fountain, man, because it's been through Puerto Rico, right? I'm just thinking of shit over the years. I mean, Puerto Rico was 10s, 11s, and it's been through how many Point Pleasants, how many Atlantic cities, how many ocean cities, how many Patchogue. Yeah, poor that poor boat. Patchogue had something against the fountain every year. That's it. You paid somebody out there.
I'm lucky I finished the race. After doing that whole race, I'm lucky if I finish, let alone win one or get close.
Dude. The first year in Patchogue was when they spun it around and blew the drives off the back of it. Right. The second year was when Lightning Jacks went over the back of it and he went through the side of Muscle. Yep. That one. It's just that place was never good to our fountain. But it's been through wars over the years. So when you look at it now, coming from that run in Englewood, it doesn't owe you anything. Yeah. I mean, it's just you knew what was coming. I was just amazed it finished.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was. People should I go back and I watch the old live streams and I watch that one a lot because what impresses me more about that day in Englewood is not us but watching that little Phantom run with us.
Absolutely.
Tommy Maddalena, and I am going to apologize right now. I'm not even going to attempt to say the gentleman's name that owns the boat, the Japanese gentleman. But they ran the balls off that boat. I mean, I was looking out the window wondering, I mean, we're running 80, 85.
That was crazy. And I told Tommy that it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That boat would run, I couldn't believe it.
I mean, it didn't do it. Shocked. It didn't do it for long is the knock on that. I mean, but how could you? I mean, looking over, I was just baffled that it could do it.
It was unbelievable that single engine boat would run with those two fountains and run. I mean, it ran and handled perfectly.
Yeah,
they're not far off. The Super V lights ain't far off. When we were testing Randy's boat, we would do acceleration numbers. The fountain was faster, but not by a lot. Right. And with the fountains in that slop, we were all stuck together. Like when Woody went up, he tripped. He went towards you guys, and he made a left turn right into us. And you guys were outside of us, and I was going towards you guys. And Johnny goes, "What's up next to us?" I go, "He's coming at us," and he caught it. He did a nice job of gathering the boat up. But at that point, I saw Tommy go.
Yeah, he got through it.
Water, and he took off. And he raced with Joe Dockman, who we'll miss, and the Seguri.
Okay. Yep.
He's a small guy, but he's got a big heart.
Yeah, man.
He's got no fear whatsoever.
No. And Tommy has some time in one of those boats. I mean, he ran with Mark Neiman for all those years at Phantom 9, and Phantom 9, I was never more impressed than their run in Bimini. When I watched them run Bimini, and they weren't racing against anyone. They were just out there to race themselves, which I think, and possibly you guys could attest to that, where I think you run better running yourself. Like when me and Pop go out in the boat, it's not always to be first place. A lot of the times we're trying to outdo each other in the boat, and I think that was what you saw there. Like if you go back and watch that Bimini TV show, watch some of the turns that Tommy was putting Mark into, and they were just handling it, man. Like it was no big deal. I mean, Tommy's good, very good, Tommy the Gun Maddalena, if anybody wants to look him up, man, he's fantastic. But I think, we totally flew past sponsors.
Okay, we got more like team members. LFG Rigging, Midcoast Performance Marine, What's Up Race Engines, Kobeck, Chevrolet, Cadillac, Ferrari,
all of it,
everything,
any car you want.
Best place in the world, and has the coolest boats too. And we got Noisy Graphics. We can never forget Noisy Graphics. I'm in big trouble. But Lulu's Hair Cutters, I gotta get them in there, and everybody else who knows I love them. I just can't remember right now.
Well,
Johnny's got
one of those is Midcoast, which is Eric, right?
I said Midcoast.
Yeah, and so Eric is your former throttleman and partner in your boat, and I had the pleasure of watching you and Eric race against my old man and Anthony for years, and so shout out to Midcoast, man. We miss you, Eric. Hope all is well. But how about you, John? Anybody?
I think Louis covered it.
Got them all?
Got it. I wanted to thank Herb for getting the Apache done. This year, it was awesome. It was awesome. Every weekend now, I'm not racing, but I go down and blow the dust off it.
Herbie's I think I could do a whole show just on Herb.
Herb Stotler is an amazing individual.
I don't know how. I mean, and he is a household name, but it's funny that he's not more of a household name, because I think I'm more impressed with people want to talk about his failures more than his successes, which is, I think, is natural in life, but even his failures are ahead of most people's successes. I mean, the guy tries the most radical, off the wall shit, and he does it like it's normal. You know, I mean, look, open the hatches in Island Runner.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. Shout out to Herb, man. And he's been doing it at a very high level for a very long time, man.
A long time. Not many have done it as long as he has.
No.
Just, if you open the hatches on that Envy boat and look inside of that thing, and it's all stuff he did. He dreamed it up and put it together. My God, it's amazing.
Does Chris still own that?
I believe so, yes.
Because I saw that was for sale not too long ago.
Yeah.
Is it still for sale?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that's a hell of a boat.
It is a hell of a boat.
I saw that go up, and I believe the price was somewhere around $1 million, which a lot of people, well, you know, that'll stop your heart.
You couldn't build that boat for even close to $1 million.
But not only that, it came with everything.
Yeah.
The truck, the tent, the scooters,
Yeah.
the matching Camaro, I mean, it came with everything for $1 million. And I watched that boat run when he got it all done in Inglewood. What a rocket ship, man.
What a rocket.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he does. He builds some really, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And he's out of Georgia, right?
Yes.
Out of Georgia. Yeah, he's fantastic.
I think we're trying to move back to Florida. I've been having little meetings with him now and then. I actually had a meeting with him last week about it. We're trying to get her back to Florida.
He does some good business, man. He and I watch, like, any boat that he rigs is always a sight to see, right? Like, I had my old man ran with Jimmy Kazani and I believe it's Stotler Turbos now, right? It's not Alex and Annie. In Stotler Turbos. And the name says it all, man. My old man got off the deck of the Fountain. I dropped them off. You know, they were the next race, so I dropped them off right onto the boat. And but with that, Herbie was on the boat with his tuner. And so I pulled up, dropped Pop off. Herb and his tuner jumped on the Fountain, and we're heading in. So I'm talking to Herb about it, and as I'm getting the words out of my mouth, like, dude, what's in that thing? Like, you got to hear it idle. It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
As I'm getting the words out of my mouth, they fired it up and went to get on plane to go make the start. I was floored with how loud and aggressive and just crisp those turbo motors are. I mean, they're just unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And if you talk to Smitty, man, he'll tell you that's the fastest thing he's ever been in. I mean, that thing's a rocket ship. And it's a big boat. I mean, that's, you know, today's day of catamaran has significantly changed due to Victory. I mean, you watch the Victories run on 1,100 horse, they're unbelievable. But that day and age is only, you know, recent to the United States. You look at a boat like Jimmy Kazani's, that was the top of the line. And so you take that's not it's not outdated by any means, but it's a stern drive boat in a rudder class, right, with probably 1,600 horse motors turned down to 11, right, and he's still right in the pack, running the same speed numbers everybody else is, and he had a big disadvantage without the rudder. So when you watch that run, you got to give it to Herb, man. That boat runs good, man.
Yeah, runs real good.
He's unbelievable. And then we got I just wanted to touch on Class 3. There's a new team coming with, I believe, Bill Purnell's old Cigarette, which spent some time in Trinidad. And it's a
Wanted boat.
What's that?
The Wanted boat?
Yep. I forget the name that was on it, but they raced with us 3 years ago in Inglewood. And the Trinidad guys from Trinidad.
Right.
And
Lobo?
Not Lobo. I can't remember the name on it right now, but from what I understand, it's been sold, and it's been sold to somebody in the States who wants to get a piece of the rigger and Smitty, and they're coming for Class 3. So bring it on, boys. Bring it on.
We ain't hard to find.
We ain't hard to find, man. We're at every race. But anyway, we got sponsors in. We got all the race sites in. I think it's time to wrap it up, right?
Woody's coming back, right?
Woody's back, yeah. Woody, I don't think he ever left, man. That guy's crazy.
No, he's got like 20 boats. I wasn't sure which one he's racing.
Yeah, I don't think he ever left. That guy, he's been racing since Inglewood. He's buying boats and buying parts and buying cars, and that guy's got the coolest toys. Yeah. But anyway, that's it, man. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Long Island, man.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, dude. I really appreciate it.
Good to be here.
Thank you for all the years and everything OPA's done, and thank you for everything you do, and your dad and Anthony and your mom and everybody.
I'd like you to get that boat done, so I'd like a piece of you.
I'll be in Morehead City. You talk to Howard. I'll be there.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We're out.